Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us. I'm Tracey McCain.
And I'm Caitlin Nuclo. You're watching Eyewitness News here on the Wax. A lot to talk about. But first, let's say hello to meteorologist Joel Gilardi with the details on that first alert forecast and the first alert that we're tracking for today. It seems like the last few days it's been kind of the same story in the afternoon.
Very, very active the past 3 days. Today, I think it won't be quite, well, we think it won't be quite as active.
Okay.
But nonetheless, if we get one of those storms to move in and it's hot and humid, you can get it to quickly turn strong or severe. So that's why we are first alerting you for this evening and tonight. So a large chunk of today is fine. So we'll be watching for isolated storm development. Of course, downpours, gusty winds, even hail can't be ruled out with any of the activity that does develop. So impacts potentially to travel and any outdoor plans you might have. So the severe threat today, half of the state is under that marginal risk, but the greater risk for severe storms is just to our north and west. So could get clipped later on. Right now, the only live radar in the state is scanning dry. And so we're going to start off this morning with really only areas of patchy fog to contend with. We'll have that steamy sunshine out there. So right now, visibility pretty good. Most locations, just isolated spots. It's tough to see, but you can see forever in New London. We have 72 degrees. The winds are calm there. The wind flow coming in from the northwest. We have upper 60s, low 70s right now. So if you want to get out in the yard today, maybe you didn't get a chance this weekend. Well, it's going to be hot and steamy. It's going to be feeling in the 90s, but highs in the upper 80s, low 90s inland, mid and upper 80s along the shoreline. So looking good for most of today. Not looking good for Florida, of course. We are tracking that eye. There it is of Debbie starting to make landfall. So we'll be tracking to see if it has any impacts here. That's coming up in about 10 minutes from now. We'll send it over to you, Roger, for an update on traffic.
All right. Thank you, Jill. Things are working out very smoothly so far here in Connecticut, as I can tell you with this first alert traffic situation. And I'm trying to figure out this green screen for the first time, believe it or not. There we go. Boy, I'll tell you what, these meteorologists make it look easy. Not so much for me. We're loving it here on the Wax. Take a look at your drive times right now. They're a lot smoother than my actions right there. 81 minutes, though, from New Haven to the GW Bridge, which is something that you're going to have to keep in mind. Other than that, though, we are delay and incident-free as you take a little scan across the state in Hartford, Waterbury, Meriden, and in Middletown. We mentioned earlier today visibility was a little bit of an issue, but you can see it's mostly clear here in Hartford as well as in Middletown, although we're starting to see a little bit of rush hour pickup finally after a relatively quiet morning here on Connecticut roads. That is a look at your first alert traffic report driven by your Connecticut Chevy dealers.
All right, Raj, thank you. Right now, police in New Haven are investigating another shooting that happened over the weekend.
Yeah, there have been about a dozen similar crimes in less than a month. Channel 3 Eyewitness News reporter Marcy Jones breaks down why the number is so concerning to police.
Good morning, Caitlin and Tracy. Well, the incident yesterday actually marked one of several non-fatal shootings that the department has been investigating since mid-July. And this is really alarming them as far as the number because it's actually on the rise. Now, take a look at this video. This is when New Haven Police Department responded to reports of a shooting in the area of Orchard and Henry Street just after 10:15 Sunday morning. The victim suffered non-life-threatening injuries and is expected to be okay. While details of this case are still limited, it highlights a larger issue. New Haven Police Department has responded to at least more than a dozen of non-fatal shootings between mid-July and this weekend, involving a total of almost 20 gunshot wound victims. According to the department's most recent crime stats, this is a 14% increase in non-fatal gunshot injuries in New Haven compared to this time last year. It's also important to note that while that number is increased, overall year to year, there has been fewer incidents of shots fired within city limits. As soon as we get any more details about what exactly unfolded on Sunday morning, we'll bring that to you. But for now, that's the latest. In New Haven, Marcy Jones, Channel 3 Eyewitness News.
Police are investigating multiple crimes after a violent weekend in Hartford. 2 people were shot and killed just 2 hours apart. The first shooting happened late Saturday night. Police say they rushed to Burton Street where they found a man who had been shot multiple times. Terrence Brown died at the hospital. Investigators say the violence happened after a large gathering got out of hand. And then the second shooting happened early Sunday morning on Fish Fry Street. Investigators say someone killed 36 26-year-old Antoine Gouge. Officers say they're not connected, these shootings, but the gunmen in these cases are on the run. Police say there have been 13 homicides in Hartford so far this year.
Police have identified the woman who was pulled out of the Housatonic River. Boaters spotted 30-year-old Alyssa McKinnon of Fairfield, found in the river on Thursday night. Deep in the Seymour Fire Department responded. She was pronounced dead at a local hospital. Investigators have not ruled yet on a cause of death.
Well, police are looking for anyone who may have witnessed a serious crash involving a 78-year-old cyclist. It happened on Route 80 near Hemlock Lane Saturday. The driver told police she noticed a cyclist on the road. They've identified her as Judith Reese Harris. They said that she was in the right lane and the driver moved over, and that's when Reese Harris suddenly turned her bike into the car. A Lifestar helicopter rushed Reese Harris to the hospital, and she has serious injuries. Now they want anyone who might have information or who saw the crash to contact state police.
A teenager is recovering this morning after they fell from a rocky ledge in Avon. Police say late Saturday night, someone called police to say that he and a woman were walking the trails near Bryan Lane when she fell. Multiple agencies responded. Crews rescued her with a rope. The teenage victim suffered serious injuries but is expected to survive. Police are still investigating. They do believe this was an accident.
Early voting starts today for the Connecticut state primary election.
So it begins this morning and then it ends on August 11th. Channel 3 Eyewitness News reporter Olivia Schuler has what voters need to know.
Hey guys, good morning. Well, a big shakeup this year. This is the first time that voters can vote early during a primary election for both district and state offices. Now, last June, that's when Governor Ned Lamont signed legislation that would expand voting access. Now, if you would like, starting today, you can do so in person. You must be registered to a party in order to vote early. This period is for affiliated voters. But if you want to cast your vote early, you still can. All you need to do is enroll with a party by noon on the business day before you plan to go and vote. Now, if you don't know what positions will be on the ballot, we do have you covered. This year, you'll see two important positions on the ballot. There'll be the U.S. Senate seat currently held by Chris Murphy and a U.S. House seat currently held by Jim Himes. Other positions include multiple seats in the State House of Representatives and Senate. Now, with the amount of high-ranking positions that are going to be on the ballot for this primary election, you may want to get out and vote early because we are expecting a high voter turnout. If you're unsure where you can vote closest to where you live, we do have a list up on our website. In Hartford, Olivia Schuler, Channel 3 Eyewitness News.
All right, locally, we've been tracking, of course, that fog this morning. It is feeling fine out there. We do have visibility. Most places looking at just great temperatures right now in the 60s and low 70s. So if you want to get out there and do some yard work, you're fine. But we do have a first alert for later this evening into tonight for an isolated strong or severe storm. Of course, we are tracking the tropics as well. Debbie in the process of making landfall. That eye is crossing over land right now across the bend of Florida. So that area is where it is experiencing the worst of the weather. The winds 80 miles per hour. You're getting some storm surge down there, but the big story is going to be with Hurricane Debbie is the potential for catastrophic flooding. So let's take a look at the future track. Notice by this afternoon, it will make landfall and it will continue to weaken as it moves inland, but it slows down. The steering currents go away. So that is where you get into big time problems. And with it not moving out very rapidly, you're going to have a lot of rainfall. Some places could get up to 20 inches. That's what we're talking about. Briefly may move offshore before slowly moving back towards South Carolina. This is all through the end of the week. The big question mark is for us, what will happen as we get into the weekend and early next week? Will the remnants make its way up here, or will it be completely blocked and we never see anything? So we still have some uncertainty there regarding, of course, this current hurricane, but we'll keep you updated on what we're expecting in the short term and, of course, the long term regarding Debbie in your first alert 7-day forecast in a little over 10 minutes.